Hi, everyone. Good to see you here. My name is Makarand Mac. I'm an executive coach based out of Mumbai, and I have had about 23 years of experience in the healthcare domain, medical devices, with organizations like Johnson Johnson, Ortho Clinical Diagnostics. And for the past 3.5 years, I have been a full-time executive coach. All that is going on currently in the world in terms of all of us sitting at home and under a lockdown. Uh, when I was thinking about what can we actually do to change this situation, we have to need to accept with it. Something struck me, and I have two friends who are very dear to me, both extremely talented in their own respective fields, but also are great sports people. And they have gone to, on top of mountains, and they have ran across routes around the world. One is an Ironman, one is a great mountaineer. And I thought, what can we take from their learnings in terms of how to navigate situations or look at answers for changing the situations currently? And that's how the thought struck. And I'm happy to introduce you to Girish Nair. Girish and I are college buddies, and I know Girish for last almost 30 odd years. We met in college, early 11th standard, and Girish is a veteran in the aviation industry and the advertising industry, and he also is an Ironman. He just completed his Ironman in New Zealand just before the lockdown, and we'll be talking to Girish about how we can find ways to get out of this current situation. Carmen is also a dear friend. I met a year back through Coaching Network, and she's also an accomplished professional working with different organizations in the European continent, and also is a mountaineer. And her stories are also very interesting in terms of how we can look at finding answers to move forward in this current situation. So that was the premise of how I got this group together. Again, I don't claim to be the one guy bringing it all together. This was, I think, divine intervention that this was supposed to happen. And today we were going to talk about something which it all starts with a vision. And we thought, why not talk about vision as a concept? And can we get learnings from our own experiences to get this rolling? And so, Carmen, what do you think about vision and trying to bring in your experiences in mountaineering and your work?
Thank you, Mike, first of all, for the introduction and for thinking of me when starting this project that we have together. And thank you, Girish, as well for sharing your stories with me in the beginning and now moving forward. Yeah, it's so interesting you are saying that to start with vision, because indeed vision is something that it's so important when we start to do something, and it was so important for me. And initially my vision was to I think it was to have a happy life. I didn't know what that meant, or what that means. And I was going to work and I was tired, and back home and tired. And I was living in that period in a city close to the mountains. And a few times when I was going in the mountains, I realized that actually I have no thoughts. I'm totally happy there. I was like, wow, that's something interesting, a place where I'm not stressed about work, I'm not stressed about targets. And I started to have a vision to go into mountains as high as possible. And my partner said, well, you are not able to run after the bus and you want to go into mountains. So I was like, no, my world crashed. But I said, well, I will be able to do that. And in that year, I started running, actually, to run 200 meters at a time because I couldn't do more. And my vision was really to be able to go into the mountains and to be able to be happy there. So not to go into the mountains to get the fame, but to really be there to get out of my comfort zone and to be happy and relaxed, and to be able to see life with different eyes, which definitely happened. There are many stories, because 6 months later, I was lucky enough to have some friends taking me on Mont Blanc, and that was quite an experience. So I can tell you more, but vision was important. And if I actually can give you now a short story before Girish goes in. I remember I told you that I started to run and I was not able to run 200 meters. And what was really motivating was imagining that I am in the mountains and that I need to reach back to the camp, because when you go into the mountains, it's not important only to get to the top, but to have also the energy to go back to the camp, because otherwise you might die there. So for me, when I was struggling running, all I had in mind was like, I need to be back to the camp, I need to be back to the camp, I need to be back to the camp. So yeah, that was my vision, to be back to the camp, wherever that happy camp is, and it still continues.
Interesting. Thanks, Carmen.
Yeah,
Girish.
thanks, Matan, and thanks, Carmen, for getting me here. In fact, the importance of vision is that Makaran had a vision. That's why we all are sitting here together. If Makaran had a vision to actually give knowledge to the ecosystem there, saying that how can they learn from three of us, and that vision led to having some great friends. Last 4 sessions that we did together, I think there's so much of energy, and we are sitting here together doing a recording and telling people how important vision is. Right? So I remember, I had a vision, when I started my working career, saying that before 40, I should have a C, under my name. It was a stupid vision that I was chasing, but because I was so passionate about that, at the age of 39, I achieved that. While I know that it was a complete rat race, and then you sacrifice a lot of things in that journey. But vision, if you have a vision, if you have a goal, you can always achieve something which by and large generally people feel that it's impossible, right? And then at the age of 38, I started thinking about Ironman, and it happened because of my ex-boss, Marcel Hongebuller from Switzerland. He was 58 and he was running a 10K, and I couldn't run even 2K. And then he told me about Ironman in 2010. I started dreaming about Ironman, a small vision, but I never thought I will ever finish an Ironman, finish line. And Mike actually calling out saying that Girish Nair, you are an Ironman in New Zealand in 2020 March. So I think vision is very critical, and without a vision, you it's a confusion. So you need to have a strong vision, so that you have clarity. And if you have clarity, you can achieve everything that the whole world feels it's impossible. And I personally feel that there is a very interesting study which says that 60 days, on an average 60 days, if you do something, it becomes an habit. And to do that for 60 days is a challenge. So if you take a small vision saying that I want to start reading, and the first 60 days, if you could keep reading 1 page or 2 page, and I'm sure after 60 days you might be just getting onto this new habit of reading or running or whatever. And I think, Mac, you recently shared a very nice tech story which was really very interesting, saying that how you can achieve ambitious goals by making a small change in your life. So that's my view on vision. I think it's very critical, and without vision it's confusion. Yeah.
Without vision, there's confusion. Super, Girish. Yeah. So, Carmen, you wanted to get back to camp. Girish wanted to have a C under his belt and become a CXO or C something in life, and both of you achieved that. You got back to camp, and Girish became something with a C. Yeah, and that C was a very, very big C in terms of aviation in an Indian brand, and that's quite an accomplishment. For me, my big C was to become a coach. And my vision, I think, across my entire life and will probably continue all throughout, I don't think it's a destination in sense of it, but it's just about being coach like all my life. To a certain degree, it's annoying to people around me because I'm always like this, because nobody wants to have a coach all the time around, especially family members. They hate it sometimes, but being coach like has been my vision throughout my life. And I would like to narrate a small story which has been with me since grade 9. This was given to me by my brother, a book by Richard Bach, Jonathan Livingstone Seagull. And interestingly, my brother also is a coach, but at that time he was not. He was in IT, and he gave me this book when I was in grade 9. And I was fascinated by this book. It's just, and I think many of you might have heard about this story about a seagull who wants to fly like an eagle, and doesn't really know how. And he finds a coach or an outcast called Chiang Seagull, and he starts tutoring him and training him how to fly high, spread his wings, bend his wings, and go deep into the seawater to get tasty little fish. And I got fascinated and say, if the whole crux of the story was that you have to begin as if you're already arrived. And that has been my mantra, my go-to statement, my whatever you call it, my vision, that you have to begin anything as if you've already done it. And you arrive into something, not reach somewhere. So you already start envisaging that you are that person. So for me, I am looking at myself as that coach that I aspire to be, and I already become that. And I start behaving, operating, talking exactly that, the person that I believe in. And that has been bringing me closer to that dream of. So even if it has not manifested in its fullness, I have lived it in my head already. So for me, it's real. It's slowly manifesting in some form, and I have come a great degree from the day I imagined it. And I think so far, so I think bringing that vision, people call it vision, some people call it goal, some people call it target. I think that's very critical. Once you have direction in knowing where you want to go, or which point, what is your true north, I think that sets everything into motion, even when you're going through difficult times, good times, happy times, sad times. So that has helped me. That story is something which is my go-to story all the time.
So, to conclude, before we conclude, one small story. We say that you are an entrepreneur, or you are working for someone. But I feel that whatever you are doing, you need to have an entrepreneurial approach towards anything. And what is entrepreneurial? Nothing but you just have an ownership of whatever you're doing. So I still remember in one of my interview very recently, I had put this in my resume. Entrepreneurial spirit. And the gentleman who was interviewing me was a legendary chairman, and he looked at it and said, "What do you mean by this?" So I said, "I may not be as big as an entrepreneur as you are, but whatever small thing I do, I behave like an entrepreneur. So I don't wait for anyone to instruct me. So you may have a problem because I take ownership of my brand more than you probably. I may challenge you if you do something which is not." So that's the vision, that's the ownership of that vision, and that allows you to achieve impossible goals. Yeah. So,
oh, thank you both for sharing. It's so inspiring, and lovely talking with you. And actually, what I'd like to conclude also on what you said, I think it's very important to realize that it has to be our own vision. Because listening to your stories, I realized that until I was 30, I was living somebody else's vision. At 30, I ended up to lead a team of 100 people, and I thought that that's my vision. And actually that was definitely not the vision. I realized that I go there, but I was not fully happy. So I changed my career when I started also running and going into the mountains. And interesting enough, Mac, what you said, and what I shared with you, that I was dreaming to come back to the camp, I realize now that actually the brand of my company has camp into the name. So must have been something in subconscious.
Yes. Oh, yes.
With camp. So that's so interesting. So my conclusion is really it's important to have a vision, even more important to be your vision and not the one that you think others want from you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Carmen. Thank you, Girish, for joining in. Till next time. See ya.
Thank you. See you.
Bye-bye.